server, and as long as it's running on an application or a Windows system that has access to the server, that's okay. So you don't have to install it directly on the server. I'll explain a little bit of that to you. The other thing I'll mention is, and it does talk about this in this brief slide presentation we're going to be showing you, it does not make any changes to Saleslogix or really anything. It's just a tool to identify or help you identify things that are going on with your system. And so we'll kind of show that to you here after this little slide. I'll open up the app and kind of walk through it with you. So it's very safe, saves time, has all kinds of tools in one place. You're going to see a lot of things today that, well, yeah, you can do these things if you know where to go dig around and look. That's the beauty of this application, is you don't have to do that. It's a Swiss Army knife, all in one place, a way to check all kinds of things that are going on with Saleslogix. So it has a home tab, and again, I'll walk you through all this. The first thing you'll notice is it's going to display versioning information. I'll show you this in more detail when we get the tool open. There's two connection types that it can make. One of them is through the Saleslogix provider, and that's going to allow you to perform a variety of checks. And then there's also a direct SQL connection for examining the database itself, looking at things like indexes and so forth, and analyzing that. So I'm going to walk through a lot of this because I'm going to show it to you live. So let me keep plugging away here. So we have, like I said, the database checks tab, does things like looks for bad joins and reciprocal joins and problems with sync tables and things like that. If you have synchronizing remote users, you can launch the integrity checker from within inside of here. It uses the same scripts and so forth to check for data integrity. But again, kind of neat that it's all contained inside of this one tool. So we'll walk you through that as well. You can look at team security and user security settings. There's some health check parameters we're going to look at. There's also a performance tab that pulls out some other things. I'll talk to you about what these mean and what's valuable here. Shows you the Saleslogix specific event logs. If Saleslogix is generating any errors that are being posted to the operating system event log, you can see those all in one nice simple place. Looks at the Saleslogix services that are running and lets you know if those are operating correctly, all the different services. There's a versioning tab, which we'll talk about too. And then also another tab that allows you to look at your website. Saleslogix is made up in some cases of half a dozen different websites. If you have S-Data and mobile and reporting server and things like that, that's going to show you that and actually allow you to test the performance of those sites. It's also got some prerequisites and tools tab, which are some buttons that allow you to launch other applications like the Saleslogix profiler and the external integrity checker. And so anyway, that's a very fast run through. I think it'll mean more to you if we look at the actual application here. So I've got it fired up on my desktop. And what you see is that we're on the Connections tab, and we've connected to a Saleslogix database. Now, some of you that are running multiple Saleslogix servers and multiple databases, in this case I have 2 of them going. So all the Saleslogix databases and SQL servers are going to show up in this window. So one of the first steps before you start, looking at anything is you connect to the server and the database, which is kind of neat because a lot of you will have a sandbox system or a copy of your production system. So you may want to run a lot of these checks on that system before you, make changes to production. So this lets you point to whatever database you want to look at. So back on the home screen, it also shows you what versions of .NET you have installed. And I think it was Core Update 02, it became a requirement that you had .NET code libraries up to 4.5 and above. I can look at this and I can know that I have the proper .NET components installed on this server. So again, it's not making changes, nor is it going to make suggestions to you as to what would be wrong. So you have to understand what you're looking at and recognize that, okay, I know I'm supposed to have .NET version 4.5, but if I don't see it on this screen, that would indicate there's some kind of a problem. Okay, we can also look at, like I talked about, event logs. If you go into the event viewer for the operating system, all these Saleslogix errors, if you're getting any, are going to be intermixed with perhaps dozens or hundreds of other errors. So this pares down or filters down only the system errors that are being generated by Saleslogix. So that's what you're seeing here is my event log. This is just a demo system I'm playing with today, so I don't really care that I have some of these problems going on, but it would certainly indicate perhaps to the IT folks on the call that, hey, that's a problem that I need to go look at and try to resolve. You can also see that in the last hour I had 1 new error, 286 in the last 6 hours. So I do think, something's going wrong here. I'm not sure what it is, but that's the purpose of that tab. So now we'll look at services, and if you click on the services button, what it does is it looks at the operating system and it queries all of the required Saleslogix services that you need for a properly running system. You may find some things. I ran this on a customer's database a day or 2 ago and found out one of their services was stopped. Well, it's needed. It was the cache server. It wasn't running. So right away I knew that's the problem. So I went and figured out, why did it stop? I restarted it, ran the test again, and now everything is passing because it's indicating to me everything that's supposed to be running is running. Now, I don't have synchronizing remote users, so I'm not running the synchronization service. And so you'll see that that is stopped, but that's okay with me because I'm not requiring that service for any reason on this system. So again, I'm not seeing a problem here. Now, there are some other services that different components of Saleslogix relies on. That's what's listed below. So up above is the core services that every system really needs to function. And then down below, I have a list of all the services that are running on this particular machine. The next tab will show you is versioning. And this one allows you to see the exact version of Saleslogix components that you have installed. And so what I can see at a glance, and this is not easy to find otherwise, is that, okay, I'm running a Saleslogix 8.1 system here, and it's also telling me that I have Web Core Update 01 installed. Now, again, that's not an issue, except that there's the Core Update 02 that's been released for 8.1, and this might tell me as an administrator, well, I don't have that, and I probably should have that. So that's what this can tell me on this particular screen. So now let's look at websites, and it's looking at IIS now. So it's made a call into IIS, and again, this is a condensed version of what you'd see if you launched IIS anyway, but it's boiled it all down to only the Saleslogix relevant parts of an IIS install. So just as I would expect, I have a Saleslogix website. It is started and running, and I have a Saleslogix web reporting site, and it tells me that's running. The other thing I can do is test the apps, and you'll notice that right now the applications that are running on Saleslogix website are untested. So we can test each one of these by hitting Test Apps. It's going to run through and query and try to hit each of these websites that are all pieces and parts of a Saleslogix web system. And it's going to come back and tell me if it succeeded, and that these various sites like lead capture and the process host and the S-Data portal and the customer portal, if you have that, it's going to come back and tell me that, yes, those things are functioning correctly. So you saw that change, and it says, yep, root is fine. The Saleslogix client website itself is good. It passed the test. It also says S-Data unauthorized. That's a problem. The customer portal, I don't have that installed, so it's telling me that's not working. That's okay with me because I don't need that. It's also telling me lead capture and IntelliSync are not running. Those are some remnants from an old install, and I don't need those for 8.1. But again, I know that, so I'm not bothered by the results I'm seeing here. And then down below, it also examines the app pools. So this is also part of IIS, and it tells you what mode they're running in. And again, you have to look at the implementation guide to know, well, what mode should they be running in? This isn't going to tell me anything is wrong. It's just telling me what is. So you may look at here and see that while web reporting is in the classic mode, that's correct. That's what's required of it. And Saleslogix is running in the integrated mode. I also know that's correct. So that's not an issue. I can also see that they're running in 32-bit mode versus 64-bit mode on the screen. Last, I'll show you the handlers. And this is also part of IIS, one of the back-end components, and it says that ISAPI 2.0 is installed, and this is how it's configured. That is also correct. That's what the version is supposed to be, and these are the parameters that are supposed to be set for it. Again, I can find all this out in the implementation guide. This just lets me look at it and validate that it is correct per the implementation guide. So in the next tab, we're going to look at prerequisites and tools. It shows you more specific version information about your .NET versions. And it also shows me here that I have Internet Explorer on my workstation. I have Chrome, and I have Firefox. And it tells me what version of those browsers are currently installed on this particular server. Again, why would I want to know that? And the answer is because there's only certain versions of these browsers that are compatible with the different versions of Saleslogix. You just have to know that again from the compatibility guide to make sense of all that. Okay, so let's go back here to the database level. And you notice when I have the database tab highlighted, some new tabs appeared down below that. So we've already logged into the Saleslogix database as the admin user, and I have the ability to, like I mentioned earlier, run the integrity checker. So I can load that here and say I want to look at the account summary table and run the integrity checker test. If it finds any issues, it's going to report that to me. My guess is probably everybody that's an administrator has done this more than once already, but this is just a convenient way to do some of these back-end chores all in one place. Let's look at the user security, and this allows me to say that either by a team or by a user, I can look at that and see what the security rights are for that particular user or team. So we didn't display anything here. Let's go into sales. It's not popping up in your results for me. I'm not sure why. By the way, this is a beta tool, so it is not complete quite yet. We got special permission from Saleslogix to kind of show this to you early, because what it would be doing was showing me, information about the security settings for these users. Sorry, that's not working right now today. Other things you can look at, this particular tab shows you kind of a combination of different things. It can show you groups and group performance if you have any legacy groups in your system, retired, ad hoc or retired dynamic groups that are not active in the system. It will show you if any of those are present. So we'll load Saleslogix back in here, and let's run another test here. This is something else I want to show you. I've logged into IIS, and what you see down below here is this is called content expiration settings. Now, the reason they show you this is actually wrong on my system. So if you see what I see when you run this on your system, that's a problem. Because these 4 folders within the Saleslogix website are supposed to be set to expire after 365 days. That's the proper setting per the implementation guide. So when I installed my demo system, I didn't go through the whole thing as early as I should. This is telling me that. This is going to cause a lot of extra caching of images and scripts that are used over and over on your web client, your Saleslogix web client, because it's going to reload those with every page visit. If you have these set to expire after 365 days, it will only reload them when they change. So again, it's a performance tip, and this is just one of the neat things it's showing me at this particular point. Okay, so Bree, that's what I was hoping to show everybody. Again, it's incomplete, it's in beta, but I just wanted to give you a little taste of kind of what this thing can do and all the different pieces and parts of your system it's able to examine. It is available if you make a request. Saleslogix has asked us not to put it on our website for public consumption, but they said if anybody specifically asks for it, you can absolutely have it as it is today. It's just a very small executable application, so either send myself a Bree, a request, and we'll send you a link to download this thing. I do anticipate that sometime soon a newer version will be coming out with some of the bugs fixed and sort of, all the buttons and things that I showed you today will be code complete and functioning as advertised. So it works with any version of Saleslogix. It doesn't matter. Pretty much anything 7.x and above works against the LAN client or the web client or both. So hopefully that helps answer some questions. Bree, is there any other questions that have come up?
Well, you answered a question that 3 people had, which was which version does this work with? So
yeah.
you knocked some of those out. But a question that we have that you didn't answer is the health checker on all servers, or do we have to download and install separately?
It is a executable, so it's a single file. It doesn't actually install anything. It's just an executable file. So any computer that you run that executable from, it's going to examine that machine that you're running it on. So you can install it or put it on any workstation or server that you want to.
Okay. And it looks like the majority of the questions were about what version this works with. So right now, that was it.
Okay. Well, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to reiterate to all of you out there, if you're interested in getting your hands on this, please send Scott or I an email. If you don't have our email address, info@customereffects.com, and we will make sure somebody gets in touch with you about that.
Absolutely. It's about a 12 meg file or so it's not huge, easy to download, and we're happy to give it to you. But it is unsupported, so you can't call Saleslogix support and say, hey, how come this doesn't work? They're going to go, what are you talking about? Because this is kind of a professional services group that wrote this, kind of a different division of Saleslogix. And they made it available to customers who would like to use it at their discretion. There's no danger in it. Like I said, it doesn't change anything, doesn't write to anything, doesn't modify anything. So you can't hurt anything, I guess, by just running it and see what you can see.
But there will eventually be a supported version coming out, correct?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It is a very important tool. Yeah, everybody that's seen it so far was excited, said it had tremendous value, and we've already got a couple of customers who are using it and really like it.
Well, great. Well, I guess that's all, Scott. Thanks for your time today, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. We will have another webinar next month, per usual. So until then, keep your eyes peeled for that email. We'll be out in another week or two with our next topic.
Thank you, too, Bree. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.